Do you live in South Africa and want to get into the crypto mining world? Well, RebelTech is the best place to get all of your mining hardware at extremely low prices. They have a massive range of graphics cards, motherboards, and everything else you would need. So click on the link in the video description to go visit RebelTech and start building your new mining system. Hey everybody, welcome to We Do Tech. Now, a few of you guys have been telling me that the "What's up everybody, welcome to We Do Tech" intro is kind of a bit too fast and it doesn't really sound that great. So I've decided to remove that intro. I'm just gonna say like, hey everybody, what's up, welcome to We Do Tech. I don't know why I said what's up. Hey everybody, welcome to We Do Tech, something a bit simple like that. So I'm just wanted to let you guys know. So today's video is just going to be me building a miner. I do have a few parts lying around that I want to use to build a dedicated miner, and I thought this would be a great video for somebody who's just starting out building their own miners to mine cryptocurrencies, but they're not really too sure what hardware they can use and should use, what GPUs will match, can you use an AMD with an NVIDIA graphics card, is it gonna work, what motherboard can you use, what CPU, all of that. So in this video I'm gonna explain everything on just how to build your own first miner. Now keep in mind, because this is your first miner, it is going to be on the cheap. So for instance with mine now, I'm going to use old parts that I've had lying around. So old motherboard, old CPU, old power supply, stuff like that. So you do save a lot of money rather on the hardware that's not that important, and focus more your money on getting better GPUs to mine the cryptocurrencies. Now this is kind of my second video on the entire tutorials on cryptocurrencies. I did make one explaining how Bitcoin and Ethereum, the cryptocurrencies, work, and now I'm gonna make a video just showing you guys how to build your miner. After that, I'm gonna show you guys also how to configure the miner, how to overclock your graphics cards to get the best possible hash rates for your GPUs, CPUs, all of that. I'm gonna do a lot more tutorials just to teach you guys on how to just to show you guys some techniques and stuff you might not have known, how actually to mine and all of that. So we're gonna get into those videos a bit later on. Today's video is just going to be me actually building a miner on the cheap. I mean, I'm gonna use these graphics cards, but I'm talking about all of the other hardware and just show you guys on how to assemble everything and set everything up. Now let's quickly just go over the hardware first. Now firstly, the frame I'm actually gonna use is this one. It was given to me by a friend. So it's just a basic frame. You can put on your motherboard up here, your power supply, already have my hard drive double-sided tape here, and then your GPUs just come on here. You can use a PC case as well, but for us, we're going to use 4 GPUs. I would not recommend using 4 GPUs. You can perhaps use up to 2 because you don't want to overheat your graphics card. You are going to get a lot of heat in that case. So you want to have the best cooling possible, and an open test bench or open bench like this is going to be your best bet. Now then, as for power supply, I have my old GS600 power supply from Corsair. I did have a 700 watt Raid Max that I actually used for my mining, but unfortunately that died just a few days ago, so that's in for repairs. But anyway, this thing will be powerful enough to handle my cards and does have enough connections as well. I will need to use Molex to 6-pin or 8-pin adapters, but that should still be fine. So this is the power supply. Modular power supply would be best because then there's just less cables, because kind of there's a bunch of them I'm not going to use. So a modular power supply would be better, and also go as high rating as possible for your budget if you are looking into buying just a dedicated GPU for your mining. 80 plus gold, 80 plus platinum, anything higher than that would be perfect. Now then, as for the motherboard and the CPU, this is kind of an old motherboard and CPU I had laying around. So this is a i7 930, if I can remember right. It's a first generation i7, so it's a bit old. It does use a lot of power, unfortunately, but for this video I'm just going to use this. And the motherboard is also able to support 4 cards. Now it does have 3 PCI Express 16 times and 1 PCI Express 1 time. So we're going to use USB risers that's actually able to plug into the normal PCI Express 1 time and then adapt that to PCI Express 16 time. So if your motherboard only has one full 16 time slot and then 3 PCI Express 1 time slots, that's going to be fine. You'll be able to use that, just not legacy, of course. So we're going to use this one. If you are looking to get an entirely new motherboard and a new CPU and everything, I would recommend that you go for a Celeron CPU, just because they're cheap and they don't use a lot of power. And then a motherboard, you can go for something like a Z37 or a Z270, because usually they do have up to 6 slots, so you can actually add 6 GPUs, but you don't have to go that high. You can use your old motherboards. I've even used Core 2 Duo systems, so 775 sockets, so that's really old. You can even use that and that will be fine, because the main important part of the entire mining system is going to be your GPUs. So with that, let's quickly take a look at the GPUs I'm going to use. So for the GPUs that I'm going to use, I decided to take 2 AMD cards and then 2 NVIDIA cards, just to show you guys that you can mix and match them and they will work fine. So I have 2 GTX 1060s, one is a 3 gig and the other one is a 6 gig. And then I do have an RX 560 and an RX 570. Now, like I said, you can mix and match these with AMD with NVIDIA. I would not recommend adding, let's say, a NVIDIA, a 980, and then a 1060 or something like that. The drivers, there's going to be conflicts, so rather stick to the generation you already have. Same with the AMDs. If you have an RX 500 series, one card, and then the other card is, let's say, an RX 280, that's gonna be a bit of trouble, because a lot of times the drivers versions don't work properly together. For instance, I can say my 980 that I have inside my PC works much better on a very lower version of NVIDIA drivers, whereas the 1060s work perfectly with the newest ones. So just keep that in mind. Also, a big part of GPUs is to make sure you have enough power to actually power these. So my 600 watt would be fine to handle these, but let's say you add 6 RX 580s, 600 watt would not be enough to handle that. So just make sure. And a good way to actually measure your power usage is going to be one of these gigawatt power meters. So you can pick them up on Amazon, or I've picked this one up on Takealot as well if you live in South Africa. So you can just use this one. It's going to show you how much power you're draining from the wall, which is going to be important. And then also you'll be able to add some cost and just a few other features. But this is definitely a good one to go for, because you want to keep your power usage as low as possible, because that's also going to save you a lot of money. So the last thing is just going to be your USB risers. You do get some of these which use a ribbon cable it works the same, but instead of it actually having a USB 3 cable like this, so it's a male to male, it uses the ribbon. I would not recommend using these. I have used this in the beginning and it actually fried one of my cards. So rather not go for these and just get the USB ones as well. They're pretty cheap. You can pick them up almost at any computer store these days. So just get them. They go from a 1-time PCI Express slot to a 16 times. Your GPU just slots in here, and then you just plug this into the 1-time, and this is your SATA power, just to power the riser. Now that we've gone over all of the hardware we're going to use for this build, let's quickly set everything up, and I'll just show you guys how to actually install everything, how to make sure everything's connected properly. If you guys do know how to assemble a computer, this would probably not be the funnest part to watch, but I am doing this for people who's just starting out, who doesn't know a lot about computers. So this is going to be more of a tutorial for them. So I'm going to show you guys how to connect the power supply, the GPUs, the risers, all of that, and then yeah, hopefully we can start mining in the next video. So with that, let's quickly start assembling all of these parts. Okay, so just to let you guys know, this is not going to be a permanent build. This is only for the time being and also for this video. So at the moment I've already glued on, well, double-sided taped my 500 gig normal hard drive, mechanical hard drive, to the frame. Otherwise you can put it somewhere else if you wanted to. You can also use a different frame as well. You don't have to have exactly the one like this. It's not really the best one. I am gonna build another one later on. So for a 6 GPU core setup, something like that. So for the moment, let's quickly just put on everything. So currently this is going to be the slot for my motherboard and the CPU. So it's just out of the way there. You can even rest the hard drive a bit on that. And then all I have to need is my power supply, which is gonna go somewhere around there. Yeah, it does have enough clearance at the back, and then it's just all of these cables. So this is the reason why you want to have a modular power supply. See, now I do have a few cables I don't really need. So I am gonna glue this one on a bit later on. I just want to make sure everything is on this right spots. So let's quickly do the cables first. Now for this build, it's not gonna have the best cable management or anything like that. It's just to actually show you guys how it works. So power goes in here. If I can just get that on. There we go. And then power for the motherboard, and then power for your CPU behind here. So you have to have at least some knowledge on how a PC works to be able to do this, but otherwise, if you don't, just watch the video, you'll be able to see the long one goes there, the other one goes there. Just make sure it is the CPU power and not the PCI Express power. So now that we've got everything like this on, it's really simple. All we have to do now is get the USB risers, which are these. Really simple. Like I said, USB PCI Express one time, you can go straight in there, just like that, and then you can put on the riser here, or it can just go onto the one time as well, no problem. So let's quickly get a GPU and connect it to the riser. Okay, so firstly, here is my ASUS Strix GTX 1060 6GB. So firstly, all you have to do is pretty straightforward what you would do on the motherboard itself. Just connect the graphics card like that. Then you can just put it on top here. Now I left mine on the outside just because it does have better fans, so it's gonna get a bit more cooling on the outside. So I'm gonna put this one here, and then I'm just gonna use some of these ties. I don't really know what you call them. They just have like a cable inside. You can use them to fix them to the frame. You can use, of course, cable ties, which would be a lot better. I'm planning to take this apart again, so I don't want to waste all of my cable ties. So let's quickly do this. There you go. So here is the 1060 connected. Now all you have to do again is take your PCI Express 1x adapter and then plug it into your first PCI Express slot. Now make sure that this one is connected first, your main one, which is going to use your display output. So I'm going to use this one as my main display. Now you are going to run into some troubles when connecting a bunch of different graphics cards, which we'll get to a bit later. You'll have to unplug all of them and just use one at a time to see if it works. So we're going to get into that a bit later. But now let's just quickly connect the other Gigabyte 1060 that I have, and then the other two AMD cards as well. So let's just connect everything and then we'll go a bit further. There you go. So as you guys can see, all four of them are connected here, so biggest to the smallest. And also what you'll see is that all of them have 6-pin or 8-pin power connections. So they need to be powered by a dedicated GPU connection, which is over here. So you're gonna have to plug these in. But unlike the 1050 Ti and downwards, also the RX 560, they do not. So they're able to draw up to 75 watts directly from the PCI Express slots themselves. So that's all they need to be powered. So you don't have to connect a dedicated power connection for them, which is kind of a bit handy. They don't mine as well as the others, but that is at least something that are very low on power. So let's quickly just connect all of these up. So as you guys can see, we already have the first one connected. Now let's take the other Gigabyte 1060, plug it into the second slot, just over here. Now the RX 570, we plug that into this one, and then the last one, which is the RX 560, we plug into the last PCI Express slot. So now everybody is connected. So all you can do now is actually tie all of these cables together so that it's a bit neater and you don't have just a bunch of cables messing all around. So we're gonna keep it nice and clean. We'll do a better job a bit later on, but for now that should be fine. Now, as you guys can also see, here we have a SATA power connection to actually power the risers. So for that, all you need is the SATA power from your power supply. So all you have to do is connect those. Let's just start in the proper order, and there. And then the last one, I have to power my hard drive, and then also the last graphics card. So now all of that is connected. You will have a bunch of cables, unfortunately, if you do it like I have. So unfortunately, that's just how it's going to be. Next up, let's quickly power up all of the graphics cards. So like I mentioned, you do have the 8 pins on both of all of the 3 cards. The AMD, the RX 560 again does not have anything, so it's just these 3, which is kind of lucky. We don't have to worry about any not having enough connections. So let's just take the normal PCI Express. So you have, well, power, you have a 6 pin and then a +2 pin to make it an 8 pin. So you can just connect that one to that. You can take the next one to there. Now then, as you guys can see, I don't have any more 8-pin power connections for my GPUs. I only had these 2. So now I'm gonna have to use a Molex to 8-pin adapter. So it's gonna use 2 Molexes to a single 6+2 pin. So we're already gonna use that, plug them into 2 of the Molex ports, and that's gonna be able to power our RX 570. So all you have to do is just connect these, and I hate Molex connections. It's a pain. But yeah, that's pretty much that. All we have to do now is connect it there, and that's pretty much it. It's very simple. And now we can also just connect some of the cables together if we want to keep it nice and clean. Okay, so as you guys can see, everything is set up. Now, unfortunately, I did do a bit of cable management, but because this is still a normal power supply, not a modular one, you do get a bunch of cables, which is really annoying. So that's why I say, personally, rather go for a modular power supply. Then you can also connect more 6-pin or 8-pin connections for your GPUs and all of that. But if you just want to go on the cheap and you don't really care about cables, then this will be fine. I did just strap a few of them together over there, just a bunch here. So it's gonna be okay for now. It's not gonna be the perfect system or anything like that. It should just be able to mine, which it does. So I just strapped all of them together over there, and it should be fine to actually work now. Now, if you guys do have a motherboard which don't have a power button over there, so mine can actually switch on there, you are going to have to jump start the PC, which you can do by just by bridging the power switch button. So the 2 pins over here, you'll be able to see it on your board as well. Just make sure, just use like a screwdriver or something like that, and then just connect them together. So as you guys can see over there, so just do that and you'll be able to switch on your board once it's actually connected, which at the moment mine is not. So now let's quickly plug in the entire system and turn it on and see if it actually works. At the moment, I don't think it's going to work because we have not, the system has not yet picked up that we are running 4 cards of these PCI Express adapters. So we're probably going to have to unplug all of them and just use one at a time. Plug in the first one, see if it turns on, second one, third one, fourth one. If the first one picks up, then great. You can actually, if you wanted to, you can just plug in all of them and it should work. But for now, let's just quickly switch it on and see if it posts. Okay, so let's quickly power it on and see if it actually works. So fans are spinning on 3 of the 4 cards. So we just see if it actually goes on. Screen is still blank, which probably means that it doesn't know which graphics card to use. So we're just gonna turn it off quickly and then unplug all of these 3 and then just connect the first one, which is the 1066 card, 1066 card. So let's quickly do that. Okay, now that all of them are disconnected except the first card, which is my Strix 1060, let's quickly turn on and see if it actually goes on. There we go. So as you guys can see, the screen just turned on. Windows is booting up. So we're quickly just gonna go in, see if it picks up the Strix card, and then shut down and connect the other 3 back again. So yes, it is picking up my GTX 1066 gig card. So let's quickly shut down and connect the rest of them and see if it picks up the other 3 cards. Okay, so let's quickly see it did start up. Let's see if it picks up any of the other graphics cards. So at the moment it does not pick up any of the other cards. So what we'll have to do is going to have to install all of the drivers all over again. So all of the NVIDIA drivers, and then the AMD drivers as well. Okay, now then, as for the drivers that we have to install for the graphics cards, I have my NVIDIA one right here, which is the 388.71 driver, and for AMD, I'm gonna use the Crimson Relive Beta blockchain driver. So you do have the normal one, which is also the new Adrenaline one, but the blockchain one just works that much better for mining. So you'll be able to download that if you do have a mining, if you do have AMD cards. You do get quite a boost in hash performance between just the normal driver. So I would say go get that one. This is the August 23rd one, so you can just download that. So quickly install both of them and then let's see if we can pick up our 4 graphics cards. Okay, so after all of the drivers are installed for both the AMD and NVIDIA cards, as you guys can see in Meta Afterburner, you can actually see the RX 560, RX 570, the 2 GTX 1060s as well. So they're picking up as the same ones, but you can see here a 6 gig and then a 3 gig card. Now, with all of that, let's quickly open up a miner. I think I'm just going to open up a Ethereum miner and let it run for a bit. Now the main reason why I'm recording it on the camera is because otherwise it's gonna struggle to record the screen. So as you guys can see, total cards 4. It's creating the buffer for that, the DAG file. Now let's quickly see what hash power I get. Now none of the GPUs are overclocked yet. I am going to do a video later on explaining how to overclock your card, how to get the best performance out of it, with power usage and all of that. So I'm going to show you guys a video like that as well. And also I'll make a video on which miners you should use and what software you should use. Like for instance, you can see I have MinerGate, I have NiceHash as well, and then also what operating system you should use. You get ETH that's a dedicated Ethereum OS that you can use. You can Linux, Windows. Unfortunately, I'm not going to do Mac because I don't have a Mac. But I'm going to do all of those for you guys. So as you guys can see, I already got a few years running the As you got, the first card is my RX 560, so that's getting about 10-ish, 10, 11-ish mega hashes a second. The RX 570 is getting about 22. Now keep in mind, it's not a BIOS flashed, so if you BIOS flash that card, it's gonna skyrocket a lot more. It should get closer to 30 then. And then for the first, that's a 6 gig card, and get about 20. For the 3 gig cards, 1060, I'm getting about also 20. Now, just for example, with my 3 gig card, I know I can overclock its GPU or its memory to, let's just do it like this. I can go down to 57. Memory clock can go all the way up to 700. Now, I know I'm just going to leave it there. Fan speed, just going to put that up a bit because I don't want the card to burn out. Now let's quickly apply. You can see it's just under 20 megahashes a second. If I apply that, it's gonna go over about 22-ish. So there you guys can see it's almost 24. So just with an overclock, I'm getting 4 more megahashes a second. Now it also depends on what memory your card has. If it's Hynix or Samsung, I know mine does have Samsung memory. For instance, the RX 560 only has Hynix, so it won't be able to overclock that high, but the Samsung ones work perfectly. So I think I'll make a video on that as well, just explaining guys the difference between Samsung and Hynix RAM. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Like I said, that's pretty much it for this video, where I just wanted to show you guys how to build your first mining system. Now, again, you had to have some knowledge on how computers work and how to build them. But otherwise, if you don't really, you could have just watched the video and you would have kind of understood where all the connections goes in and everything like that. Drivers, all of that you can just download, but I will also leave links in the video description for all of the drivers if you have been watching till the end now, which I don't think a lot of you guys are. But anyway, yeah, I'll also, like I said, I will also make videos on all of the other stuff, which operating system you should use, Ethereum OS, Windows, Linux, those videos, how to overclock your graphics cards, how to power manage your entire system. I have a bunch of videos planned for that also, which GPU is going to work best for which currency, and all a lot of tutorials which I'm going to make, because I don't think a lot of people really understand how to actually mine. And one thing that I know a lot of you guys also asked is how to exchange your cryptocurrencies. So I'm going to make a video on how to exchange your cryptocurrencies for real fiat currencies, real world money, or just into other coins. So I'm going to make videos on that as well. But anyway, I hope this video was helpful. If it was, please let me know in the comments down below. If it wasn't, also please let me know in the comments down below. Also, if you want to get any of these parts, any new computer parts, you can go check out RebelTech if you live in South Africa. They have a massive range of all of the hardware you would need to actually mine cryptocurrencies. They even have a motherboard that can take up to 19 graphics cards. So that's really awesome. Perhaps one day we'll be able to use that motherboard to build a massive mining system. So we'll have to see. But anyway, also, if you guys do live overseas in America or such, I will leave Amazon links down in the description as well for you to actually go and get it over there. But anyway, again, that's pretty much it. If you have any requests for any videos you want me to make, please let me know in the comments down below. And yeah, thanks for watching, guys, and I will check all of you next time. Cheers, guys.